Thank you so much, Sarah. First of all, thank you so much for accepting that I can do this workshop. I saw the post around social media and questions around that, and I was like, some of them are things that I have learned, but then some of the things are available resources which are available out there, and you can just simply make an account and use those resources. So I told Sarah that I would love to share everything and anything that I know about social media. I've been creating content for quite a long time. Over the last 3-4 months, I've become pretty consistent. So today, I will try to tell you everything that I know. If I miss out on something, please ask those questions later on. And I'll be taking after every section, I'll be taking 3 questions. Sarah will be looking after like what are the most important ones, and then all the important ones at the end. So yes, let's get started. I'm Swati. I've been doing social media marketing or marketing in general for past 7 years. I have worked with B2B corporations, and then I do social media for my own business. I've worked with multiple small businesses to run their social media. And because I do my own social media, I do everything by myself. So today I'm going to talk about everything which is a one person doing all the stuff. So nothing will be like you need to spend money here or you need to spend money there. I'll try to share all the free tools that I use, but some of them you have to pay. You can't bypass that. So you decide which one fits the budget, which one fits the time that you have, and then you can take the call. Most of the tools that I'm going to share today have some kind of free version that even I'm using. So yeah, that's how we're going to go today. This is all we're going to cover, which is from ideating to structuring, then writing, shooting, editing, posting, and analytics. These are the 9 pillars, or I would say 9 steps that you need to take, or 8 of them you need to take before you post your first content. I want you to also understand that if it gets too much, because there is going to be a lot shared, we are recording this and I'll share the slide deck after the email. And everything that is shared on this slide deck is linked to a resource. So let's say I'm saying that this is the tool you can use. I have linked their website. Let's say this is the video that you can watch on YouTube. I've linked that video as well, so that you can later on come back to this recording or come back to the slide deck to use it as a workbook to create content. So don't rush, ask your questions, take notes you want to take. But yeah, if it feels too much, remember that this all will be shared with you. So let's first look at understanding social media itself. A lot of the people believe that virality is the key to build a business on social media. And today we are talking, I hope that I'm talking to all the business owners. Even if you're a content creator, you sell either a product, you want to sell a product, or you want to sell a service. So there is something that you are looking to sell. Even if you don't have a physical product or a service, I believe that you at least at some point of time do want to work with businesses or do want to work with other brands. So it's not only about creating content for fun, but creating content to generate revenue or to monetize it at one or another form. If that's the goal, then yes, this is the workshop today. And I want to set the premises that virality does not mean revenue. These are 2 different things. You can be the most viral content creator and still not being able to sell a t-shirt. Just because virality means visibility. And it is really good for your business. The more viral you are, the more people are looking at you, and the more number of times they are looking at you, the more visibility you are getting. So it does not mean that you should not run behind trends or you should not run behind virality. You should look into it from the point where you want to create content that adds value to your customers or create something that you genuinely want to create. So that's the sense when you are looking towards virality, because it will not give you money, but it definitely will give you visibility. With respect to visibility, the most interesting thing with visibility is that once you start having, let's say, 10,000 followers, or once you start having 50,000 followers, there is a human bias that everyone starts to believe that you are the coach or you are the expert that you are. You definitely are the expert, but that visibility brings trust. And the more and more people follow you, the more others believe that they can trust you. So that's how you need to look when you're looking at content creation, that if I want my reels to perform, I want them to perform so that they are visible, and that visibility should bring trust. And I'll make sure that once that trust is there, once people have started to listen to me, that's when I'll start having conversations with my community, start offering the services that I want to offer. And that trust is something that will help you to monetize. That trust is something that will help you to bring revenue or money or monetization in whichever term or in whichever service industry you are, whatever that you are looking at. So trust is the foundation that we are trying to build on social media. the secret sauce, and I wanted to be starting, the secret sauce to social media is consistency. Just improving 0.1% and 1% every time, and consistently creating it. The longer you create it, the more better you get to understand, okay, what is working, what is not working, what is my style and tone, how do I like to speak as well. Because this is a lot of, I always think social media is a lot of internal work as well, as much as it is external. So if there is one thing which is consistent, which is a secret sauce, or which is a constant that I have seen with all the creators, it is consistency. Nothing beats it. No other thing. Even if you got viral one night and stop creating next, you are gone. So you have to be consistent in this space of social media. And today the goal is to build a system, and the system which helps you to create content on a regular basis. Basically, a repeatable structure. Today, I'm going to share my journey, all the steps that I take, and that has helped me to create content regularly over the past 3-4 months. I've been pretty consistent. So I want to share a repeatable system with all of you, and a structure that I have built, which is working for me, and the most important things which works in general for other creators as well. And every tool that is out there which will help you to build a sustainable system. That's the goal of this workshop. That's what I'm trying to achieve today with all of you. Is once you get out of this call, you sit with yourself, or you sit with your notebook, and you're like, okay, these are the things I need, this is how I'm going to do it, and then slowly inculcate it to do it on a regular basis. You don't have to go 7 times a day or 7 times a week on the first day, but 2 or 3 times a week on a consistent basis. Yes. So the first thing that we are going to cover today is ideating. And ideating is when you have decided, starts when you have decided that, okay, I'm going to create content, whether I'm going to create it for my business, or I am going to create it for my service, or I'm going to be somebody who creates content. Once you decide that and you start that Instagram page, or open that Instagram page, or maybe have created that Instagram page already, or maybe you already have that, that's when the ideation starts. And for ideating, you need to identify what your niche is. Like, you are going to create content related to whatever business you are in. I'm into yoga, I create yoga related content. But let's say if I'm in fitness, or I'm in photography, or I'm in food, then you identify the sub niches. So it's not only about your niche. A lot of the times people restrict themselves to their niche only. You have to also identify your sub niches, because the more wide spectrum you have with respect to the kind of content you can create indefinitely, or you can create unlimited content, to be honest. So if you are in fitness, your sub niches can be lifting, building muscle, cardio, nutrition, protein, sleep, or psychology of the fitness itself. If you are in photography, then you can talk about technical skills related to photography, how to master them, phone photography, camera photography, psychology of photography, different colors, street, travel photography, wedding, cinematic, like so many of the things that are related to the skill itself. You can find those small sub niches and create content around those sub niches, to create it indefinitely, or to create it on a regular basis. If your niche, let's say, is food, I think that's one of the most visually appealing niche in itself. So you can always talk about healthy food, sugar-free, gut health, meal prep, psychology of food. Psychology is interchangeable on almost on all the niches, so that's the beauty of it. Nutrition background, food, cultural food from different parts of the world, and story of the food, like from where it originated, from where it is most popular nowadays, even if it wasn't originated in that particular country. And then you can also do ingredients deep dives. So this understanding of, this is my niche and these are my sub niches. When you're sitting with yourself and related to your business, make an exhaustive list of sub niches. Do not hesitate to write everything on paper, and then find out that out of that exhaustive list, what are the top 5 and top 7 things that interest you. Like, I'm in the niche of yoga, but I do running as well, I do weightlifting as well, I try to meal prep, I try to eat healthy, so I try to go a little bit outside of yoga as well. So these are the sub niches that I like to tap as well. Whereas meditation, philosophy of yoga, slow living, all of these are sub niches that I tap into whenever I don't know, or I'm confused what exactly to post related to yoga. So that's what is identifying your niche. Now let's understand how to ideate. Some of the most easiest ways is to save on Instagram. Whenever you are scrolling, scroll mindfully, create different folders on your Instagram, saves folders, and scroll mindfully. Whenever you find something that's interesting, save it. save it in a specific folder. Talk to your friends, talk to other creators, talk to your customer. Every conversation doesn't have to be content, to be honest, but every conversation is content. So when you are having those conversations, look for patterns, look for ideation, look what are the pain points customers or people in general your friends are talking about. You can create content on everything. I like to read books, so I like to write as well. I do a lot of writing and journaling, so that helps me to come back to whatever I want to create. The tools that I use is Instagram, I have Notion, and sometimes I text message myself on WhatsApp. So simple. If an idea comes to me, I just send a message to myself on WhatsApp. These are some of the tools that you can use. This is how my ideation looks like. This is how my Instagram's save looks like. Everything is in a folder. Like this is what maybe I'll copy, refine, or I'll just make a fun stitch video on this. This is something that's trending and video inspiration. This is carousel post, learn yoga breakdown post, yoga reels inspiration. This is like education of content creation itself, that kind of folder. So you can see that's how I create my collection, and I come back to this every time I want to create. And I take inspiration from there. This is how my Notion page looks like. I write scripts here, I write ideas, save audios and everything, and then come back to this whenever I want to create something. And then text message to myself on WhatsApp. So these are the ways that you can ideate and make your life easy on ideation or on when you are pre-content creation itself. Okay, anyone has any questions before we go to the next, which is structuring? Okay, I'll just give an idea at this point because I'm going to talk about marketing funnels in this deck as well. So when you are deciding what to post, think that is this something that is going to relate with anyone and everyone, or is this something that is relating with a specific pain point? So that's like categorizing your content with respect to, okay, this is a pain point solver, so this is a highly educational content. If this is a fun content and relates to almost everyone, let's say back pain relates to everyone, right? At every age. So if you make a fun content about back pain, it doesn't have to be to a specific person or a specific woman of age. Whereas if you are talking to someone about like having pimples on your face, which I think is either you have it due to hormonal changes, I can be wrong here, or because you are going through teenage years. So yes, that's when you need to be very specific, because that's when you're talking to one-on-one to your audience. So that's like I'm going to discuss that how marketing content is categorized into funnels, and if you create those funnels, you relate with your audience better. So next is structuring. This is, again, what is structuring is to define what are you going to create before you create anything. A lot of the times people think that we are going to post 7 days a week. Sit with yourself and think that what frequency actually works for you. If you want to know what's the minimum, it is 2 to 3 times a week you should post if you are serious about growing on social media and building a business on social media at some point of time, or monetize it at some point of time. So 2 to 3 is if you don't want to spend your whole time, but you can go up to 7 times, and then really serious creators, once they have resources, they post twice a week, twice a day as well. But 2 to 3 up to 5 times is a good number to pick and start posting about the things that you want to post consistently. Because again, over the weeks, consistency will outgrow everything. Like it will outshine almost everything. How great or bad your content is. If you're consistent, you will see in your content some things work and it doesn't make any sense because you were consistent. Consistency pays over the years or over the month. Second is identifying which format works for you. In the next slide, we will talk about the formats. Every video has a different format. And how to connect, if once we will go through this slowly and steadily, you will see, okay, there is format, there is different style, and then you connect that style with the content that you're creating. So identify that which formats work better for you, what kind of a person you are, and then pick those formats in the starting when you're posting 2 to 3 times. Third is editing style and aesthetics. If you are just starting out, do not fuss too much about how my caption color will look like, how the background design and logo design. A lot of people focus on being too perfect before they start to create. I think create first and get better slowly. So pick 2-3 styles that work for you, some templates that you found on Edits app or on any other editor app that you're using, and just use them. And slowly and steadily, maybe define your colors, font, location of the shooting that you're going to. 75% of the time you should know you're going to shoot in which corners of your house. So that style and aesthetics, if you can, just sit and write them down. Okay, this is possible, this is what I can do. Now, before we look into formats, let's understand the type of content. As Sarah asked, that what to post. There is 3 types of content in a broad way. There is 3 types of content. One is a reach content. Reach content is just content which does not make too much sense. It is a content where you follow a trend, you make a fun video, or maybe you do a challenge video of something in your industry, it doesn't have to be, it has to be tweaked as per your expertise and as per your industry. That's the one thing that I would like to say, that tweak any ongoing trend as per your industry, as per your niche. But reach is to get in front of as many people as possible. This is where you are trying to achieve virality in your interest. So if you're not a dancer, please don't dance. It does not work that way. So just be honest. But the second is relate. Let's say you have 1,000 followers. Now I have 1,000 followers, and they came to my, because one of my videos worked, they came to me, but they want to see yoga content, they want to see philosophy content. So this is when I'm trying to relate with them. I might try a pose and fail on that, like everyone else, right? So I try to show them that flexibility is something that you learn, and flexibility is a lot of practice. It doesn't happen one day. So that's the kind of content where you relate with your audience. You before and after videos, transformation, comparison video, or any kind of yoga related language or a joke that I might say. That is a relatable content that I'm trying to create. Once I know that out of 1,000 people, let's say only 150 or 120 of them are commenting and interacting with my work, which I'll talk about that in analytics. Out of those 120 people, that's all I am trying to focus through my trust building content. That's where I am talking about educational part, tutorials, breakdowns, tips and tricks, do what is right, what is wrong. So see how three contents serve three different things. The more content you create, the once a week or twice a week you upload a fun video, which is to reach more people. Whereas once or twice a week you create a relatable video, whereas you show your vulnerability, because that's what people connect with. And once you are there and you have some people who are relating with you, then you start creating trust. Once a week you are posting specifically exactly to a problem, because that's when you start to become an expert. So you create a combination of them, and then you, maybe if you're posting 3 times a week, you pick one of them each time, and then you do that. If you're posting 7 times, you pick two of those. So that's a combination. I'm going to share a content calendar as well so that you can have a look. Now let's understand how the format looks like. There are so many formats that work on social media. These are the top 10. It doesn't mean that you can't go beyond these. I'm just showing you, or I'm just telling you about the top 10 formats that performs almost all the time if you create better. First is talking head, which is you are directly talking to the camera. Second is voiceover plus B-roll. You have a lot of clips. You record the audio separately and you put a lot of clips together. Third is education breakdown, like triangle pose and trikonasana. This is my own post. I do a breakdown tutorial video which falls under educational trust building content. So education content. Fourth is trends. You are following a trend and you are trying to do a 6-7 trend. So if I have to do 6-7 trend, then maybe I'll do it like, don't do 6-7 like this. Pick some weights and then do 6-7. 6 or 7, right? Which weight works for you? That's how I'll probably pick 6-7 if I have to do it as a trend. So that's how you personalize your trends or ongoing trends as per your niche. Next is reaction and stitch. Take a fun take, or maybe a reaction, an opinion on something which you believe in, agree with, or maybe don't agree with. Other is shot and angle change. Continuously change shots, continuously change angle. Once you are in the home, then you're in a car, and then you're outside. Might have seen those kind of videos. Then the green and the split screen, whereas there is a green screen in the background and you change. Maybe you are taking a take or talking about a specific influencer or a specific creator. So that's how this is one of the format. Then you Q&A. Q&A, if it's one person, let's say if my husband is taking my Q&A, it's easy to do because then it's me only. But if I want another yoga practitioner to come on that to be able to do Q&A, then it's a difficult one. So it depends which kind of Q&A you are doing, but Q&A in general is with somebody else takes more effort, but with yourself it is easy. You can just put a camera or maybe ask your partner to ask some questions, like top 5 questions, and then you can do that. Next is clone and duplicate. This is when you clone yourself or you duplicate yourself, and then you both have different or similar opinions about whatever that you are talking about. And the last is back and forth. The same person have one angle, one side asking a question while another person is giving answer about that. I have linked all of these formats, so once I share the slide, you click and you go on the reel, and then you can understand, okay, this is exactly the format is. I would suggest the star here represents that which format is easiest to make. So talking head and voiceover are most easy to make, and clone and back and forth are difficult to make. So I would just suggest if you are new, do not pick a difficult version. If you're not good with editing, pick an easier version and slowly and steadily add the difficult formats. Whenever you're deciding which formats to do, add, choose whatever you're comfortable with. Try to do one trends one. So that is your top of the funnel or your bigger broad reach content. You don't have to copy the trends, just trending audio or maybe one trend that you're trying to do once in 2 weeks if you're posting 2 or 3 times or once a week, whatever that works for you. These are the formats. These are the tools that I use to find content. Whereas Meta ads, I check different ads and what is trending, because earlier there used to be separate ads. Nowadays, whatever their viral reel is, that particular company or creator run that particular reel as an ad. So Meta ads is a good place to check, okay, an ad that is actually not ad but a piece of content. So you can look at ads library. Viral stat is a place. This is where you can find and track Instagram trends and formats, what is working best at the time. TikTok and Instagram native platforms, you can save, you can look at them. Whatever coming on your feed, it means it's trending all the time. My Instance is a place where you can find viral trend sound effects. So let's say a ghost sound, or let's say something that is going viral at this point, or a dog barking. You can find all the different kind of sounds on this particular website. And playphrase.me is the place where if you write if you write a text, let's say I say any of the dialogue of Harry Potter. If I say that, I type that on this particular website, it will give me that exact video from the Harry Potter movie. So that's a cool one where you write something, and if any movie or any piece of content has ever used it, it gives you that particular video or that particular clip or emoji or that kind of stuff. All of these tools are linked to their website. Again, on the email, if you click on them, you will go on the website. I'm not getting paid for them. They're just free and I use them. So I'm just sharing that. Yes. Yeah, because Reels or so when you are scrolling, you never see a post. We generally now, because our attention span is so low, we are no more scrolling on Instagram's page. Maybe some of us do first few, but we just directly go to the reels. Or maybe you click on a reel and after that the scroll happens. And we are on doom scrolling, but we are only seeing reels. How many of us are actually coming back on the page? And just observe your own behavior, that do you come on the front page and then scroll through the images? Images are, or I would say carousel posts, do go viral. They work really well. Two cases work their best. Number one, you need to understand that these are the posts where somebody genuinely is interested in you. So they maybe came to your profile, or maybe your post was the first post, and they saw it before going to that mindless scrolling. Second is, it will always work better if you add a video in the background. So because then again, it goes back on the video, and then that if that video is trending, then it might pop up in between. So whenever you're posting a post, try to always add an audio in the background. There has to be an audio, because that's how, if the audio is trending, then your post might get visible to more people. But how do you find random people on Instagram? I'll be honest, I find them through reels. I hardly find a random person through a picture. I always find them through reels. So reels do perform better because platforms do not want us to get out of the platform. They want us to stay and mindlessly scroll. And reels are the best. We love to watch movies. We love to watch content. So that's the reason. So if you're do carousel, but if you're doing carousels, remember, if you can do it to build a connection and you can do it to build trust, that's the kind of content that really helps in carousel. It is not trends, it's not fun, that doesn't work. And whenever you're posting carousel, put an audio in the background so that Reels tab also picks it while the audio and the reels going on. If there is no audio, then there is no visibility. Let's move on to writing. Okay, writing is, I believe, and I have heard so many creators say this, writing is the soul of social media. If you write well, even if your light is not good, even if your clothes are not good, even if your makeup is not done, just because you wrote a story so well, it might take some time, but it will at some point will blow up. So people without having good equipment, good spaces and everything have one thing which is constant, which is they wrote really well. They connected with the audience. Writing is a skill. You learn it, you do it again and again and again, and then you learn it. I agree. But writing is the soul of any good movie, and writing is the soul of a short movie that we are trying to create on social media, which is a reel. This is the basic fundamental of writing. Every video should have a hook and a CTA. Now, I'm going to go deeper in hook and CTAs. Hook is to grab attention, and CTA is to what action do you want them to take. Action doesn't have to be every time like follow me or shop from me. No. Action is to rewatch the video, even to complete that loop. Action is to comment. Those are also actions. So these are the two things that are consistent, and then your story or your script stays in between. Whatever kind of video or whatever kind of format that you have chosen from earlier, whether it is storytelling content, a conversational content, educational, voiceover, hot takes that you're going to do, a reaction video, any kind of value that you're providing. Even if you are doing yapping videos that are popular right now, which is you get in front of a camera and you just yap about something. A good script is something that's in between. Now, what is a hook? A hook is to grab the attention of the listener. This is something that you do in the starting. to just first 4 to 6 seconds. Those 4 6 seconds is when the user is mindlessly scrolling or maybe just trying to scroll and not even have an audio on. Just stop on your video and doesn't scroll through. Whenever you're thinking what could be a good hook, think what will stop you. What kind of words or what kind of visual or what kind of text will stop you from scrolling? Every time you're confused what might work, I'll say study your behavior. Like even if you understand 50% of how you behave on a platform, you do understand how content creation works. You have to be watching your own pattern because that's human pattern. Maybe not everyone, but 70% of the people are behaving the same way. We are so wired and connected to behave, at least on the psychological level, similarly, even if our culture, even if our society or the places we live in different, but our psychology, I don't know how, but it is so similar to each other. We all connect to the same emotions. We all connect to the same problems. We are scared of the same things. So study your own behavior as much as you can on social media, and that will genuinely help you in the longer run. There are three kinds of hook. First is the verbal hook. Let's say I open a video by saying something which is controversial, something which is a bold statement. I simply say, my parents taught me this about education and this is just all bullshit, right? Things taught by my parents about education that last generation didn't know about it. These are the hooks, bold statement, true, but to some point, we always believe good education means good career. It doesn't mean that anymore. So bold statement, curiosity openings, any kind of thing that challenge the common advice. Weightlifting will not give you the body you want, but you believe that lifting weight gives you the body. You can change the narrative during your conversation when you're writing script that yes, weightlifting helps you with muscle building. But you can open with something that will shock people and then they will be like stopping. Use a negative hook, use a controversial hook, and then you can write your script in a way that people connect with. Second is a written hook. Written hook is what comes on the text, what comes on the screen. Humans read faster than they listen and comprehend. So keywords on the text in the first 5 6 seconds matters a lot. A lot of the people scroll with their headphones or audio off. So text helps to be able to understand how it is working. Popping text, colorful text here and there, jumping here and there, that really attracts people. Third is the visual hook. Visual hook is what they see. Let's say somebody jumped from the air, right? And then you are like, stop. Somebody just blew into ashes and you stop to watch that video. So that kind of effect is something that humans stop at. You can, these are some of the examples of hooks, like written and verbal hook. In this, it's multiple clones. It's a visual hook. Again, there is a board here and we can see, read and write. So this is a written plus verbal hook. And then she jumped from up. So this is a visual hook. All of these videos are linked so you can go and understand, okay, this is a written hook, this is a visual hook. Okay, that's how you create them. And hooks really helps people from scrolling past. Once you have scrolled past, then you need to engage. But the most difficult part is to just scroll past. Everyone is doing that. Now let's come to the center, which is scripting. Scripting is in itself a topic. It can take hours and hours because script writing and writing itself is hundreds and hundreds of years old. But some principles remain similar. And I have taken 3 formats or 3 styles of writing here. I can't take all of them, otherwise it will take a lot of time. But if you are somebody who want to create a storytelling video, then your script should reflect maybe your hero journey or maybe your origin journey, at what point you started. You can pick any one of them. You can maybe in the storytelling connect with nostalgia, right? How your mom used to make that food, and then you talk about the food, and then you talk about your mom, and the emotion is everyone thinks about their own mom. Yes, we don't cook like our mothers. So the emotion that you are trying to connect. Failure and vulnerability, if you write really well, it will always connect because we all have been failed and we are shy to be vulnerable. But failure is something that everyone connects with. So you pick which style you want to write, and if go ahead, research about frameworks. If not, then you can start picking this framework. Take these keywords, write few lines about it, and then write it, the full story of that. Hot takes, you can write hot takes, you can do a yapping or a front camera video, which is you are pissing somebody off, you are taking a hot take, you are telling what you stand for, what is right, what is wrong, or you are creating maybe an enemy. If I am in yoga business or I am into yoga teaching, how some of the studios or how specifically some of the companies have monetized it so much that it doesn't feel authentic at all. So those companies, I can create them as enemy at all point, and people do not like big corporations. It's an emotion that everyone connect with. So you take those hot takes, you pick the style, and then again, this is a framework that you can write, and I'm writing these frameworks. These are not the only ones. There are many out there. It's just I have picked the ones that I use or which works for beginners. Then there is educational. Educational is when you're creating value, do or don'ts, breakdowns and tutorials. And this is the framework where you connect with the problem. Then you talk about it in an irritating way or describe how it actually feels, how frustrating that is, and then you provide the solution. So you can use this framework when you are creating your educational videos. And after that, the last part of script writing is our call to action. I told you, follow, like, shop, registration, share, visit, comment. These are all the common CTAs. You don't have to have, every video doesn't have to have a CTA at the end, but even a loop out video, a video that completes a loop, has a CTA that you want that person to watch it again. So just end in a way that it creates a curiosity to come back to the first one. So whatever CTA you choose, it is what action you want them to take. So if you want them to follow, I'm sorry, but social media, like we have so many reels out there, you have to remind them after every video that follow me, follow me. Do not hesitate to say it. If you hesitate to say it, like I'm hesitate to say that my classes are in the link, I don't like to say that, so I write it in a text in my video. Find a method. Maybe it's not the perfect one, but until you get comfortable with it, find another way to do it. Always add a CTA. Now, there are how my writing, like this is how my writing a script looks like at this point. This is a calendar that I have made for myself on Notion, where I track everything that I'm writing. Every box is that day's content written in it. Even if it's a trend and I haven't exactly written in it, I just write that this is the trend that I'm going to follow. This is the video that I'm going to copy, or I'm going to refine, or I'm going to stitch, and what I'm going to refine and stitch. And if there is a detailed script like this particular video, which is this video that went on 5th of February, you can go on my profile and you can check it. This is the script that I have written. So I write my scripts, especially for storytelling and education content, in pretty detail so that I don't forget it, and so that it helps me in editing. The more you write, the more better you get in editing and at the end phases. So have that, this is my point of view, this is the problem I'm going to talk about, this is the lesson, and this is the reframe of the CTA that I wanted people to follow. So whatever it is, follow a framework. In the starting, follow a simpler framework. The more you learn, get complex. People hook audience with so many different hooks again and again, and back they are saying controversial things. That's a skill that you learn, but you learn it on the go. So slowly and steadily, but find a simple framework, pick the one that I have given so far, and write words, write lines, and just take it from there. Now, these are some of the tools that you can use for writing. Remember, all the AI tools, you have to train them, I'll be honest, and for that, you need to understand script writing. So if you ask an AI tool, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity, they write not good stuff. So you have to go and train them in the background, and to be able to train them and to be able to give your unique pinch of salt or cherry on top, you have to understand the basics, or you have to write some scripts with your own hand. Pen and paper still works, and then you can feed those scripts for some time to these models or these apps, and they might be able to copy up to 75%. They, so far, like 6 months, they can only copy 75% of what I want to say. I always have to sit and instruct and refine it there. I don't know how many of you create LinkedIn content, but I have used this tool called Alphas. That is really good because LinkedIn content is very professional and it is very strict or direct to the point. So this tool has helped me to write content and post content regularly in my own voice. And because LinkedIn content is professional, it has helped me to stay on those professional levels. So that's the tool that I would suggest that if you're using LinkedIn, this is the one you should use. But if you're doing storytelling and hot takes and that kind of stuff, train one of these models as per your requirement and make sure to train them, otherwise their information is pretty generic. Okay, before we go to shooting and next, what questions do we have? And I'm sorry that I tried to keep it concise, but then it is so much information. I hope that this helps, but yeah, ask your question because now I'm feeling maybe I'm not overwhelming you all. No, you will not lose followers. That's not true. If you take a hot take which is too political and maybe you specifically talk bad about a community that is going through so much, yes, do not be insensitive. But if I have to take a hot take on a yoga industry, I can say I meditated for 3 years and it does not work. It's a hot take. It's a hook that I can use. But I always can say it does not work because you want to sit in the meditation state, not for 15 minutes, but for 50. And then somebody on the Teams is calling you. So you can always come back to the positive emotion. Do not be insensitive when you're taking hot takes because you cannot body shame somebody. You cannot take political views in an insensitive manner. You can have opinion. You can believe in your country. You can believe in your government. I totally agree with that. But you cannot be insensitive while you are doing that. If you have a bad opinion and you know you are mean, please don't talk. There is no need. Yeah, I'll share. There is a Iranian creator. I follow her. She's into yoga, so I follow her content. She recently took a stand for the Iranian people, and the way she took it It was so empathetic and it was not against the world. I will add that in the email so that you all can see her work, but then you can all see her stand and her hot take. That was amazing. I think we can learn from other creators how they do that. You can be political, but you have to be political with sense of responsibility. That's how I'll say. Yeah. Giveaways work. I'll be honest, they work especially with growth, because when you're a small business owner, a lot of people do follow you, like and share, because then you are like, share on your story and share it with 5 friends, whatever that you are asking them to do, and then you're giving a giveaway. So that boosts your presence. It's just how many times you want to do it. That's the only thing. If you're a business owner, don't do them again and again, like often, because that way your viewers think that you do them all the time, and that's a way for you to increase your followers, because you don't have good content to post. Whereas it should feel you are giving because there is a community that is supporting you. So if you've gone from 1,000 to 5,000, time to give away, because you want to make sure that these people who have followed you from 1,000 to 5,000 feel appreciated. But it should not be like that they feel, oh, you do not have something important to say, or your product is not good, so you are taking giveaway as a way to increase your followers or your sales. Yeah. Yes, it should not feel like if I'm following a creator and that creator is doing, because again, giveaways are on top of the content and the value you are providing, right? Because your products also have a value. So they are on top of it. They are not like the base of it. So don't make it a base of it. Like I start with giveaway and then I do other things. No, I do every other things, which is to provide value, to create content, to talk about things. And giveaway is part of that. I do if you have 5 people working with you. I'll be honest. If you have money for somebody to write it for you, do. I mean, I'm saying create content for each of your followers. But can you do that? Is that humanly possible? No. I make one reel, I make one video, I post it on all 3 of them. It's same. My profiles look same at all 3 places. And I would love to customize them, but I'm sorry, I'm one human being and I have limited time. So I focus on to create consistently, then creating unique every time at every platform. You choose your battles. So I've chosen mine, which is consistency, and not tweaking and fixing and personalizing it at all the platform. No, I don't do that. I suggest that if you have money, go ahead, do it. If you have resources, yeah, go ahead and do it. You can decide, so let's say you create, I'll come back to the schedule, that this is how you can create your schedule. And then you can decide that you do Tuesdays, where other businesses talk about themselves. Like Spotlight Tuesdays. You don't have to do that every day, but then if you're posting 5 times a week and you're the only one, you can pick one day as less of your hassle, which is where you talk about others, and then you don't create content for that particular day. It saves time for you, it saves time for others as well. And if you align with a business, and let's say, because Glow in itself is a community, so that works best for Glow if everyone talks about their business. But let's say on my page, I cannot go ahead and share everyone's business, which is true for Sarah, your personal page as well. But if there is a yoga teacher, I believe in her or his philosophy, and I love the work, then I would love to collaborate. There is nobody who's stopping me from doing that, and I won't say that I won't do that. I would love, even if that's a small creator, I would love to do that. But it has to someplace align with the work that I'm doing. If it is a friend that I want to help, then stories are the best way. I'll always share my friend's stories on my page. If my friend is a swimmer, it doesn't align with and let's say, if not swimmer, let's say my friend is a gardener, which is completely opposite. So maybe I'll do a yoga class in her garden, but if I don't do that, I'll post it on a story, because I want to always support my friends. Yeah. Next is shooting. You are done with your ideas. You're done with your structure. Okay, this is how it's gonna go. You have written. Now you are shooting. Shooting is to understand how camera angles work. Even if your camera is not the perfect camera, I shoot with my iPhone 14 Pro, and my husband has the same phone, so I use 2 angles, but I don't use any other fancy camera. I don't want to invest in that and learn camera at this point. Again, one person, only limited. So choose your battle. Shooting, to be able to understand overview, these are the top 10 angles. Shooting angles and camera setting is pretty detailed. I have linked 2 videos in the next slide, but these are the top 10 angles. If you learn to record yourself in those angles, it will help you to create more creative content, I would say. Eye level, high on top of you, low, or maybe put in a dishwasher, and that particular angle, over your shoulder, back shot, top down, put it on a ceiling or something on top, wide shot, which is zoomed out, close up, overhead, and the point of view is in front of you. I am not the right person or an expert to explain angles. These are the 10. If you can learn these, it's pretty good to go ahead and create content. But these are the 2 videos. These are both of them under 10 minutes. I found them randomly when I was researching my camera angles. They are pretty good videos. Like you can watch them, learn from them, and you will understand how angles work. So if you go on my profile, all the education videos are in 2 angles. So I use 2 phones on 2 different sides and then use 2 different angles, both of them at eye angle, to edit the videos when I'm editing. Yes, that's what angle, or that's what shots are. Shooting is like, that's how you shoot. Yeah, I think that was a smaller one, but if you watch the videos, these are linked, you will be able to understand in more detail from experts how shooting videos exactly work for reels and for videos. Yeah. Yes. So how, if I ask you from on the scale of 1 to 5, how do you scale your editing? Because I really want to know at what level we are when I'm having conversation related to editing, because that itself is a dangerous area. Yeah. If we have 4, then yes, then this slide will make a lot of sense. I'm happy I made it this way. Okay. I want you to know that editing is a skill, and it is a skill that requires full learning. And it's not only learning the things that you already know and trying, it is also to learning a software or a skill which goes beyond just turning on your camera or just saying whatever comes to your mind. Editing is a job. Like, yes, it's another job in itself. It takes a lot of effort. Today I'll be covering just one part of editing, which is how the editing software looks like and what are the most important things to place in an editing software when you are creating a complex video, or when it's not a trend, or when it is not a single timeline video. Yeah. So this is how my editing video looks like if I am editing multi-layer video, which starts with this is the most important, that I firstly put the main thing in the timeline. I edit everything, stutter out every word, every again, English is not my first language, so I use a lot of filler words. I edit all of those. This is my main timeline. Then we have other angles, and I put other angles and on other timelines. This is the CapCut that I use. CapCut is the software that I use for editing, and this is how it looks like. All the editing softwares look similar. They're not same, but they're similar. So whichever one you are using might be having one or another window on one side or another side here. Then you put on your any kind of filter that you want, and then your captions. If it's a talking head video, like in this case, this is mine, then I have audio right here. Otherwise, I have audio on another timeline. This is a background. This particular area is the background music. And if I want to have click, pop, whoosh, or any other kind of sound, I put it on top of it. These breakdowns, like anywhere where I have done the break between my video, I put transitions here. And if I want to have a pop-up effect or something like that, I put on top of all of this here, because this is my editing timeline going on. And this is how the resource panel of most of the editing looks like. This is how the setting panel, and this is your main editing screen. That's where you see how editing happens. Now, this is CapCut. All the tools might have something similar here and there. And whichever tool you use today, rather than talking in detail about editing, because yes, this is a job, this is in itself is a more complicated thing. These are the tools. So from the beginner friendly edits app on Instagram to advanced, which is Premiere Pro, really complex software. Pick whichever. If you know editing, you use one of them, perfect. If you don't and you don't know from where to start with edits. Instagram's its own app, and Canva. These are the two that you can pick and start. Then later on, you can decide that you want to go to InShot and CapCut, whichever one. If you do only talking head, pick Descript, because that's an AI one. You can command, but only for talking head, it works really well. Not multi-layer one, it does not. And then the Vinci and Premiere is more complex. All of these tools, their websites are linked to the email, but these are the ones with respect to whatever available in the market for anyone. So from beginner to advanced, and then pick accordingly. Anyone has any question with editing? I would like to add, when you're picking a format, pick a format that you can repeatably create. I think that's the most easy way to learn editing. First, do not pick the clone or transformation, like not video transformation or before and after. I mean, you're jumping from here and there. Don't pick the complex videos. Pick the simpler ones, one of the formats. Write a script and edit 1 or 2. Once you have edited 1 or 2, you kind of get this. If you are building repeatable content, and it doesn't mean repeatable in script. Like if I'm doing 108 yoga asana series, there are 108 yoga asana or yoga poses that I'm gonna teach. But every script is 90% same. It's just the name of the poses is changing. So every time when I'm editing, in my head, I already know how I'm going to edit it. So keep your 1 or 2 videos a week, which editing is similar. Your every video cannot be edited different. No, otherwise it's way too difficult. You can have one experimental video. That's it. One video. I pick one in 2 weeks, which is out of the box, which has this many layers. Otherwise, every other video is one or another kind of template, whether it's on the trending sound or text, whether it's a B-roll on a trending sound, whether it's 108 Yoga Asana series, whether it's me on a talking head video. These are repeatable concepts. So one in a 2 weeks is a different one. I experiment. Rest, no, I don't. Because how will I get time? And even if you pay someone, like how many videos you're going to pay and up until what point? Again, at what level you are in your business. So that's how I use it. That's how I'll suggest anyone. Posting is basically now you know how many times you're going to post, what feels comfortable. This is you write a script, you have shot the video, you have edited the video, whatever it is. Posting is when you decide, okay, how many times a week I'm going to post. Do not, if you find a word here which does not make sense, go on Google after the class and type it, and Google will give you a really good explanation. I'll be honest. It's just me and the marketing person here who wants to get into a little bit of technical marketing, which is to understand that what kind of content is top of the funnel, which is visibility, which is to reach, what kind of content is middle of the funnel. So the top of the funnel is content is the broad content, which basically helps you to get views. Do not expect from this content to get followers, even to get engagement. You might get engagement. More views means more engagement, more people might comment. But this is not to build trust or relatability. Top of the funnel is just broad content, which basically helps you to get views. Middle of the funnel is which brings new followers, which brings relatability, and which makes you start to become familiar with your audience. These are like out of the 1,150 people that likes to see you, like to comment, like to support. Out of 10,000 people, these are the 1,000 people who vouch for you and interact with your content. And then we have bottom of the funnel. Bottom of the funnel, in the funnel, like the last. This is where people trust. This is the more and more you have these, the more and more you will be able to build trust and generate leads. These are the ones that you create educational content, to the point content for. If you post 3 times a week, whichever day you choose, pick a weekday, or maybe not Saturday and a Sunday if you want to pick a weekend. But no, don't think that these are the best days. Look into your analytics, look at the date and time when your audience is active, and pick 3 days if you're posting 3 days. One day it is top of the funnel, which is broad, which can be trends, which can be fun, which can be opinion. Then one day is middle of the funnel. If you're picking middle of the funnel, pick storytelling. If you're picking top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, if you're picking easy to understand, storytelling or FAQ style. If you are on top of the funnel, then follow trend or anything like that. A CTA that you can help, top of the funnel, follow CTA. You don't want them to shop, you don't want them to do anything. You just want them to like and follow you. Bottom of the funnel, 1 a week out of your 3 should be hyper educational, should be talking to one person, specifically talking to a pain point. That kind of content should be there. If you're posting 5 times a week, increase the numbers accordingly. 2 times top of the funnel, 2 times bottom of the funnel, and 1 middle of the funnel. You can jump around middle and top as well. If you have a lot of followers, you can have more middle of the funnel. If you have less followers, have more top of the funnel content so that you get visibility more. But always have middle and bottom of the funnel, which is trust and relatable content for the audience to not only follow you just because they follow you, but to get to know you as well on the personal level. If you are somebody who wants to post 7 times a week, then you can pick something like this, which is 2 times a week, top of the funnel, or 3 times a week, and then 2 times, 1 time middle of the funnel, or 1 more time actually middle of the funnel, and 2 times bottom of the funnel. Again, your CTAs. When you are bottom of the funnel, when you're talking about trust, when you're talking about value, education, try to then add a freebie or a paid offer. If you want them to just follow a trend, follow a story, or maybe just easy to understand content, have a follow, like, comment, that kind of CTA. So it just depends. If you post 7 times a week and you have bottom of the funnel, which is highly educational content, then have 1 freebie or maybe 1 paid offer, while the other one is follow or other one is share with a friend, something like that. So you can pick one of those content ways to pick, like what kind of content to post. Again, pick a format, make it work, and stay consistent. Do not change formats every week. It is, again, if you have the bandwidth, okay. If you will change too many formats, it's just impossible for one person to do it. So whenever you are changing a format, it means one format was working really good for you, and one of the ones you tried, like one reel went viral, and then pick that as a format. So sometimes experiment like once a month or twice a month, and if that works great, then add that format into your adding or into your schedule. And not like every week, fresh content, fresh style. No, pick a series. Make the same thing again and again and again. Make it repeatable. Learn to edit, learn to write, learn to do that kind of stuff. Pick a trend every week. Do a trend that's not a lot of difficult, or pick trending audios and text on top of it. Not every post has to be like that, but maybe just one. So pick different formats that work for you, that helps you to stay consistent. Now, this is how my schedule looks like. I use Buffer for scheduling because Buffer allows 3 accounts, which is like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I use these 3. I don't post on Facebook because if I link 4th one, it's a paid one. I don't pay for Buffer. So 3 are free. If you want to have 5 or 6 different accounts, then you can have the paid version. But this is how my posting schedule. I post once every day. I sometimes post more than once, so it's like +2 or +1 here and there. But I post one post every day. So this is how my February, this month's content already gone out. Some days it's already notify me. So Buffer has an option that you can get notified if I want to add something, edit something on the app. And if I don't want that, then I simply keep it on the, just upload it on my page. Sometimes you might message me and it's been 24 hours, but I have posted twice. It's just because it came out of Buffer and I didn't see my Instagram. I'm not too heavy on stories yet. I have my own reasons. Stories work really good for selling. So if you can, please add stories here as well. With my full-time job and with getting more discipline in content creation, I am not getting time to be that consistent with stories as well. So I post sometimes stories. But if you are selling and your business is something that you do full-time, post 1 or up to 3 stories, not more than 3, every day. And every 3rd day, have 1 story which is about landing page, or which is about offer, which is about a service that you provide. Once in every 3 days, have a story that leads somebody somewhere. In the stories, ask questions, answer those questions, talk about your products, because stories is something where people show interest and you get to know, okay, this is the person who is interested in my offering. And the tools that you can use for, okay, before we go to tools, this is what actually matters in social media today. And these are the things that doesn't matter. Your posting time does not matter. Consistency matters. Hashtags does not matter. They only matter if you're using them as keyword. So tagging them to exact keyword that you want. Otherwise, no. If you're a business, that is, do not use translator if you don't want to connect with that audience. Because if I don't speak a specific language and my offering, then I won't be able to give the offering, then don't use translator. If you are in an offering, if you sell cookies, it doesn't matter other person speak what language, then use translator. Otherwise, don't. So decide on that. Do not use multiple links on your profile. Use 1 link wherever it can be. Sometimes, like I have workshops, so I have 2 links at this point. Otherwise, I have a Linktree page, 1 link on my Instagram, and that goes to a Linktree, and then they can see multiple links. Otherwise, only 1 link on your profile. You don't need fancy videos. You don't need to do every trend. No, just whatever that resonates with you and your audience. Hooks are most important. If something is working, double down on that. Like my education content does not give me equal number of views, but it always give me more followers than the reels that perform better with respect to views. So double down on the content that is working for you. Provide educational content, be consistent, add a CTA, have 1 link. Watch time matters, how long somebody is watching. I'm going to add that in the analytics section you're going to see. So watch time, how long somebody is watching your video matters. And scheduling platform does not harm your reach. So if you're using Buffer or something else as a third-party platform, no, it does not matter. Even Instagram's CEO on his official page has said that it has never mattered or changed my reach, even if I have posted through Buffer. I posted through Buffer or that platform because there is a streak going on and I don't want to break a streak. Human behavior, human psychology. So use a scheduling platform. It helps you to keep consistent. Otherwise, you can always schedule on Instagram or on TikTok, inbuilt in app as well. Other than Buffer, these are some of the other platforms that you can use for scheduling, and whichever one works for you. If you only post on Facebook and Instagram, use Meta Suite. If you use anything other than Instagram and Facebook, 2-3 different platforms, then you can go ahead and use any one of them. Do we have questions before we go to the last part of the presentation? Oh God, it took more time than I thought. I knew that. Yeah. I mean, learn, okay, this works better. And then 1 experiment. I do 1 experiment in 2 weeks. 1 is experiment. If that works good, then in next 2 or 3 weeks, I double down on that. Otherwise, I don't. If it's not working, that experiment is not working, it's not going to work. Maybe it will, maybe I'm not the right person. Again, I don't do a lot of talking head videos because I'm shy, but I recently recorded my yapping video and I'm going to post it. First time. And I can create so much of different content, but yapping was something that I was like, oh God, this is so cringe. And you have to get out of it. It just takes time. So yeah, so just decide. And if something is working, then do not touch it. Don't jinx it. If something is working for you, double down on that until that thing stops working. And experiment once in 2 weeks or once in every week or once in a month, and then double down on that. That's how big creators do that, right? They have same style, same patterns, same video coming again and again because they know that is working and they double down on that. Do not feel bad seeing your analytics. Just learn from it. It's a path. Whatever your analytics is, it should make you feel like, okay, how can I improve? And not like, oh my God, I don't want to look at analytics. So this is how my analytics looks like at this point. I took those screenshots yesterday. This is how you see. If you click on here or you go on these three blocks, you will have analytics or insights section. You can come here and then you will see your last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. I took out the max so that I can speak here accordingly. So I chose a period. You can choose 30 days, 60 days, 90. If you want to see, like, I want to take this, so take screenshot, because after 90 days, Instagram, this particular view does not let you see analytics of more than 90 days. So choose it. This is what you want to focus on. So non-followers. Now, I'll be honest, I do not post a lot of trial reels. Post as many trial reels as you can. Trial reels get pushed out of non-followers. Again, I have a job, I have work, and I do this. So I don't spend time posting too much on. I use Buffer to keep myself disciplined. I'm doing it on the side, slowly and steadily. But I do social media full time. So I don't do a lot of trial reels. Post trial reels because that's what you want to be shown to. Especially the reel that you're creating for reach. The fun content, post it for non-followers so that they can see it. As many as you can. This is where you see how many new accounts reached. If you scroll it down, you will be able to see what kind of content is performing, at what audience, in which country, gender, age, and cities. These are the 4 categories that it provides. And then this is the activity. What are they doing when they are coming on a profile? These are the visits. These are the link to my website, to my yoga class, to my whatever. These are the links that people have tapped over the 90 days. Next thing that you want to see is Analytics app. Instagram's Analytics app gives you a more detailed and easier way to see it. The main app does not let you. This is the complete view that it can give you that is much better than the app itself. So use Edits app to see analytics. Use Edits app to scroll. Because if you use Instagrams for scrolling, it just takes too much time. If you use Edit app for scrolling, you can take notes, you can create storyboards. It really, really helps you to keep everything at one place. And Instagram is pushing to you to use Edit app. You can scroll through each the content on one screen. You don't have to go one by one. It helps. There is a detail metric. You can see, okay, this video had low like rate, but more people watched it. So even less people liked it, they watched it for a longer period of time. So that's how you can see that, okay, this content had like rate from people who actually watched it and not just randomly like and next. And then focus that these things are increasing, focus that your skip rate is lower. And that you can see when you are seeing that how many people have, there's a graph that you can see when you scroll down, and that will tell you where people dropped from watching your video. So yeah, that's how analytics look like. That's how you specifically focus on these things, that they are increasing, and you study script of each and every one of them. I would say that content creation is, okay, before we go here, anyone has any questions on analytics? And again, when you are doing the reach fun content, visibility content, it is share rate and repost rate. Focus on that. When you are putting educational content, please focus on skip rate, that they're not skipping, because that's the content that's providing exact value. If somebody is watching your full video on education, they're going to trust you. So if they watch one video, they're going to trust you a little bit, but if they watch your 10th video, they might trust you more. So even if they don't live in that city, they might share it with somebody who lives in the city. So if educational content, skip rate is something that you should look at. Fun content, how much is share happening, how much is repost happening, so that it's giving visibility. Relatable content, they should be able to comment, and low skip rate. Comment and skip rate is something that you should look at. Again, for your business, when you come on your Instagram app and you are here, this is where you are getting to see. So even if tens and thousands of people are liking your product, if nothing is happening on profile activity, to profile visits, to follow or like, to come to your profile, not exactly like the video, but come to your profile, and they're not tapping on any external link to book a call or to book, if nothing is happening here, then it means that there is not lead generation happening. Yeah. These are the 2 things. Sorry? Do you? Yes. So then you decide which, again, you come back here and you decide, okay, cool, what kind of content is performing and what kind of content is not performing. So if your education content is performing, double down on that. If your education content is not performing, it means maybe you're not saying the right things, or maybe they are just not seeing it because your hook is not good enough. So you will be able to see that at what point they dropped. If they dropped right after the hook, it means they didn't like the hook. Improve the hook. If they drop after a story, it means they didn't like the CTA. Or maybe the story couldn't grab them. Improve the story. And if they like the CTA, then maybe they came to your profile. So study your content that way. Yes. Yes. Works the best. Yeah. And in the analytics, you will be able to see slowly and steadily once you create enough content that what kind of content works. Like again, my breakdown videos do not have same views as my fun videos, but my breakdown videos always give me maximum amount of followers. So I'm like, there is less view but more trust. But yes, so even if my breakdown video has 1,000 views consistently, I'm not going to stop posting them. That's a series that I've started for 108 videos. I'm going to go and double down on that, because that's the series where somebody watches it 108 times will believe that I know how to break down a pose. I hope so. But yeah, that's how. I mean, if it's a branding content, if it's related to a service, even if you are breaking down a myth, do not hesitate to link it to your. And if a specific, okay, if you are somebody who runs ads, first test your content. If your content performs better, change it in an ad. Then run an ad on top of it. A lot of the time, people make an ad and run an ad. No. First, create the content, post it, see the engagement, see the how it is behaving, and once that you see, oh, this reel is performing good, then make that performing reel as an ad and run that as an ad, because you have already tested that this reel works. So yeah, because content creation is a full-time job. Yeah. And honestly, you don't have to do it alone, if I'll be honest. At whatever level you are, you can look for small and to medium to high level support, but do not run an ad of $500 without knowing whether it is going to perform. And the best way to know it, to first run it through your own channel and see whether it is working or not. I've seen so many creators do that they create a reel and then you see that reel as an ad because they first tested it, that it's going to work or not. And if it did, then that's how they did it. Yeah. I know it's 8:31. You can scan the QR code if you want to talk. I have time. I will stay on the call and we will talk about it more. But you can take the screenshot, like you can scan it. And if you want to book a 20-minute after this, you can book it. I've opened my sometime in the evening in the calendar next week. So you can maybe book and we can talk. But yeah, any other question that you want me to take right now? How about automated responses? If you are using, at least for Instagram, if you are using their own inbuilt system, then it's good. If you are using an external app, I won't say no, use it, but see how much, right? So if somebody comes to your profile and asks that, do you provide these services? Have that automated answer. Cool, works. Not every comment, because not every conversation has to be automated. But if somebody inquires and you are not there to answer, I'm sorry, I sometimes, when I'm on a detox mode, I sometimes lock my Instagram for weekend. But my post still goes through the buffer, but I didn't see my Instagram. But then I would want a bot to reply that yes, this person will reply in 24 hours. And thank you so much for inquiring. So bot works. It's just that do not overuse it to a level where Instagram flags it. But Instagram has inbuilt automation. You can use that. That's safe. That's the best actually, so that it doesn't penalize you. Yes, there is an Instagram automation that is free there. I'll link it to the, okay, Kimi's video. Thank you everyone. And yeah, I hope to see you all whenever I'm in Kitchener next time.